news. It's from Buckingham Palace. The Duke of Edinburgh, who is 95, will no longer carry out public engagements from autumn of this year. Buckingham Palace has announced that in the last few seconds. That was what the meeting was all about, and the royal household were called to a meeting at Buckingham Palace at 10 o'clock this morning, and we can now tell you, breaking news, Prince Philip, who is 95, will no longer carry out public engagements from the autumn of this year. That just in from Buckingham Palace. In fact, Prince Philip will celebrate his 96th birthday in June. He was out and about yesterday. You can see the pictures there. He is at Lord's just yesterday, looking remarkably well for a 95-year-old, doing one of his public engagements there yesterday, being handed a cricket bat. He does like his cricket. We're told it was his decision. It is his decision to no longer carry out public engagements. That will begin from the autumn of this year. So finally, aged 95, the Duke of Edinburgh is going to retire effectively. The Queen, as you know, who turned 91 last month, has been slowly handing over some of her duties, although she still carries out around 300 engagements a year, which is astonishing for a 91-year-old. But the breaking news from Buckingham Palace in the last minute: Prince Philip will no longer carry out public engagements from the autumn of this year. He's in good health. He had a cold at Christmas, but then, hey, who didn't? The Queen certainly did. But broadly speaking, he's in very good health. Those pictures that you can see are just from yesterday, actually, where he went to Lord's. Where, as you can see, he met various officials from Lord's and various former cricketing legends, I can see right there, as they joke about that bat, which looks rather ancient, actually. Duke of Edinburgh, who is 95, from the autumn of this year, will no longer carry out any public engagements. That just in from Buckingham Palace. One would imagine that he will still be seen alongside the Queen, perhaps some of her engagements, but we'll get more details, no doubt, from our royal correspondent in the next few minutes. Prince Philip to stand down then from royal duties for good. He's retiring, aged 95. That's the news from Buckingham Palace in the last couple of minutes. As you know, they had a meeting of the royal household at Buckingham Palace this morning. We knew that staff, members of the royal household, were called from, we think, anyway, from Windsor Castle and possibly Sandringham. I'm not sure if people came down from Balmoral for this announcement, but they clearly wanted to tell the members of staff first before they told the media, which is absolutely fair enough. And here is the full statement from Buckingham Palace. His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, has decided that he will no longer carry out public engagements from this autumn. In taking this decision, the Duke has the full support of the Queen. Prince Philip will attend previously scheduled engagements between now and August, both individual and accompanying the Queen. Thereafter, the Duke will not be accepting new invitations for visits and engagements, although he may still choose to attend certain public events from time to time. Duke of Edinburgh is patron, president, or a member of over 780 organisations with which he will continue to be associated, although he will no longer play an active role by attending engagements. And the statement concludes from Buckingham Palace that Her Majesty will continue to carry out a full programme of official engagements with the support of members of the royal family. So Prince Philip is retiring at the age of 95. He will stand down from royal duties for good from the autumn. As the statement says, though, between now and then, he's going to be attending all the things that are in his diaries, all those previously scheduled engagements between now and August. He will go to, both individually and accompanying the Queen. Thereafter, the statement says, he will not be accepting any new invitations for visits and engagements, although he might still choose to attend certain public events from time to time. Patron of 780 organisations, the statement says he will continue to be associated with those, although he won't be playing an active role by attending engagements for for which he is patron, president, or a member. And Nicholas Witchell is here. Hello.
Hi.
Our royal editor. So this is what the big meeting was all about.
Yes, a bit of a surprise really that they would feel it necessary to bring staff in, to brief staff before putting out this statement, but that's what they've done. They brought staff in from different royal households wanting to tell them before making this public. So the Duke, 96, in a couple of months' time, June the 10th, he will be 96. He still has a number of engagements in the diary over coming months, but clearly, as this statement says, he's decided to call it a day in terms of public engagements come the autumn. We shouldn't forget that, of course, they will be celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary in November. Now, it does say that he will occasionally choose to attend certain public events from time to time, so I think we can expect to see him on that occasion. And a number of course, engagements between now and then, the Tribune Colour, just a week after his 96th birthday. But that familiar role to which we've become so accustomed over these decades of him just in support of the Queen, clearly he feels that he now wishes to curtail that, and we are told that, I'm sure it's correct, that he has the full support of the Queen in taking that decision.
Yeah. And it means that she will continue with I mean, slowly she's been handing over duties herself. She's 91, of course, but she is going to continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of that there is no question and no doubt. She will continue with, albeit with a somewhat lightened workload, and her officials are quite discreet in the way that they are lightening the load. They're trying to limit the number of audiences with judges, ambassadors, with senior military people, just finding little ways to make it easier for somebody of her age to fulfill her constitutional role as head of state, with less time having to stand up, rather fewer meetings, but still paying full regard to those important public occasions when she would be expected to be seen as head of state. And if you look at the Royal Diary, there are a number of engagements in coming weeks that they will be attending together. In Pangbourne in Berkshire, for example, next week, both together.
It's his decision, the statement says. As you point out, she's fully supporting it. I mean, apart from his age, which sounds bizarre to us, apart from his age, what is behind this? He just wants to spend more time with his family, or his dogs, or his horses?
Well, I'm sure there's a bit of that, yes. And I guess most people would say, well, he's entitled to do that. Of course, he said this, he didn't quite go this far on the occasion of his 90th birthday, but you remember there was that interview with Fiona Bruce for a BBC documentary, in which he said that he would be scaling back his public work. But thereafter there was very little evidence of him actually doing so. He gave up a number of patronages and that kind of thing, but he has continued with a number of engagements, meetings with people. There he is yesterday at Lord's, opening the new Warner stand, wearing his MCC tie, and plainly still enjoying this sort of thing. And he still attends, for example, receptions for recipients of the Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award. I've seen him quite recently doing that. And he still, the remarkable thing is, he still takes time. He doesn't skimp on those events, because he realises that these are young people for whom this is a big occasion, receiving their Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award, and he gives, as it were, full value when he's at those occasions. So I think, yes, he does still enjoy it, and I think he gains energy, as it were, from some of those engagements, and still cracks the same jokes. The familiar joke yesterday about, I'm the world's most experienced plaque unveiler. He's cracked that thousands of times.
Still funny, Nick.
He still gets a laugh. Still gets a laugh. So yes, he will be around in terms of public engagements until the autumn, and I would think that we'll still see him after that.
Yeah. You mentioned the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme. He founded that in 1956, designed to give young people a sense of responsibility to themselves, to their communities, and I mean, it's quite an astonishing scheme. Millions and millions of people have taken part in it from around the world.
They have, yeah, and it's spread beyond these shores and has taken root, and is quite a significant scheme in a number of other countries, principally Commonwealth countries, but elsewhere, and he still takes a considerable interest in that. The other things, of course, for which he has made a significant contribution over the years, the World Wildlife Fund, as it used to be, environmental matters. He was quite a pioneering voice before the voice of his elder son was raised on environmental matters, but on that and on a range of issues, on industrial matters. If we go back to the 1950s and 1960s, you've got to remember that the Duke of Edinburgh has quite a significant intellectual curiosity about life in general, about spiritual matters. He's written a number of little monograph books just exploring spiritual matters. So it's that curiosity which I think has occasionally led him to be, shall we say, somewhat impatient with things and people that he's encountered, and sometimes those jokes that we were just referring to haven't always worked. He's remembered for that, but I think he's remembered and will continue to be remembered, of course, for the way in which he has supported the Queen.
Yeah. So, royal staff, or the royal household, called for this meeting, as you say, because they wanted to tell the staff before telling the media, which I suppose is fair enough, but it did seem quite dramatic to do that.
Yeah, yes, and well, in the middle of the night this it leaked out, as it were, and certainly all kinds of completely erroneous impressions were formed. It underlines what an utterly unreliable source of information is social media, because of the nonsense that was on social media for a number of hours. And then there was some clarification and guidance that this had nothing to do with any health issue. And here we are, now finally a statement from Buckingham Palace that he has decided, the Duke of Edinburgh, that he will no longer carry out public engagements from the autumn of this year. And there we see him in that familiar role, a role in which we will see rather less of him from the autumn, with the Queen. That I think is that at St George's Chapel or Westminster, I'm not quite sure. But that's, yes, the role to which we've become so very accustomed to seeing him over these years. And as I say, I think he will continue for those major occasions from time to time, still be there beside the Queen.
I'm going to read the full statement again for those who are just joining us. This is the full statement from Buckingham Palace in the last few minutes concerning the Duke of Edinburgh. His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh has decided that he will no longer carry out public engagements from the autumn of this year. In taking this decision, the Duke has the full support of the Queen. Prince Philip will attend previously scheduled engagements between now and August, both individually and accompanying the Queen. Thereafter, the Duke will not be accepting new invitations for visits and engagements, although he may still choose to attend certain public events from time to time. The Duke of Edinburgh is patron, president, or a member of over 780 organisations with which he will continue to be associated, although he will no longer play an active role by attending engagements. Her Majesty will continue to carry out a full programme of official engagements with the support of members of the royal family. So Prince Philip is retiring, finally, at the age of 95. But as you say, Nick, they've got this humongous wedding anniversary coming up.
They have indeed, in November, 70 years, which is extraordinary in itself, isn't it? So
amazing.
I'm not quite sure what you call a 70th wedding anniversary, but significant, I guess, is the word that you would use. So yes, I'm quite sure that you will be attending, of course you will. The service of Thanksgiving or whatever is the memorial service, commemoration service. The other, I suppose, significant thing is that it will mean that, of course, the Prince of Wales will now take on a more significant role as the senior male member of the family, which in a sense he has always been as the heir to the throne.
Yeah.
But with his father now, as it were, retiring from most public engagements, I would imagine that we will see more of the Queen and Prince Charles, perhaps accompanying her on significant events to which previously we would have expected to see the Duke of Edinburgh by her side. So we'll just have to see how that works out.
Yeah. I mean,